Hey, folks, it's Pastor Rick, your Utah wine pastor. And I want to share with you a memorable meal that I had last night. Sometimes everything comes together and a meal becomes truly memorable. And I think last night was just that kind of an occasion. The food, the wine, and the company all combined together to make my first experience at Carmine's Italian restaurant in Cottonwood Heights truly special. And I want to give a special shout out to Cheryl Shoei of the Wasatch Academy of Wine and the Premium Wine Club for choosing Carmine's and also for introducing me to 5 really outstanding wines. If you haven't done so already, check out Wasatch Academy of Wine, and I'll make a link to their website on the resources page of utahwinepastor.com. So anyway, this was my first experience dining with the wine club. And based on it, I guarantee that Bonnie and I will be joining them again. And I especially want to thank my table mates, Bob, Mary, Connie, and Anna, for the good conversation and for making me feel welcome as we kind of ate and drank our way through the course of the evening. We got started promptly at 6, and I was one of the first ones to leave, actually, after buying 3 bottles of the 5 that we tried. And I left like at 8:30 p.m., and folks were still hanging around having a good time. So it's a good group. And I would tell you that time and space today just don't allow me to describe all 5 wines here, but I will try to get to all of them eventually. They were all noteworthy. The whole night started with Cheryl pouring a 2014, and I'm probably going to butcher the name, but it's Rodolfo Cassini Terra Rosa Spumante. And I know that's a mouthful. And when I first saw this wine on the wine list, I have to tell you, I was a little skeptical because most of my experience with Spumante has not been good. I remember all too well the sticky, sweet, bulk produced just plonk that I encountered very early on in my wine journey. But this Spumante was definitely not that. It's made of 100% Sangiovese grapes with just a tiny hint of copper color. And I think this wine had just the right amount of sparkle. The bead was very fine and it had a very pleasant, yeasty nose. And what surprised me is that this wine was over 10 years old, but it was still fresh and elegant, no doubt, due to the quality of grapes used and the winemaker's talent. It gave me a whole new appreciation for Spumante. And for what it's worth, it paired really nicely with the classic Caesar salad that I started with. And for my main course, I ordered a tagliatelle funghi porcini. It's a fettuccine style noodle with a rich porcini mushroom sauce. And with Bonnie trying to go gluten free, we don't eat as much pasta as we used to. So when I get a chance to have pasta, I usually go for it. And on the other hand, this dish kind of screamed out for me to try it because first, I'm a sucker for mushroom anything. And porcini mushrooms are one of my favorites that was in this dish. And the second reason that I wanted to try it because I expected this dish to go well with the 2 red wines that Cheryl offered that night. And I would tell you that neither the dish nor the wines disappointed. The tagliatelle pasta differs from fettuccine mostly because I think an egg is used in the tagliatelle. It gives a richness that, as good as fettuccine is, it just can't match. And so the pasta at Carmine's, I'll tell you, was cooked perfectly, served piping hot, which I loved. One of my pet peeves is when a dish that's supposed to be served hot comes out cold or lukewarm. And boy, this was not the case with this tagliatelle. It was nice and hot. But the real highlight of this dish, and the thing that made it such a great accompaniment with the red wine, was the sauce that was on it. This sauce was rich and creamy, and I'm not sure if it was made with a beef broth base, or maybe the water from soaking the dried porcinis in. But whatever the case, this sauce had a rich brown color, and it was softened and enriched even more by the addition of a good amount of cream. So the dish was really rich, and it was served with a sprig of fresh thyme on it, and it came out as this beautifully presented mound of delicious pasta, and not a chintzy portion. The portion was substantial. The dish was a great match with the 2021 Villas, and I'm going to say it again. I don't know if I'm going to get it right, but it's Spogliano Chianti Colli Florentine. And if I remember Cheryl's comments about this wine, it's made on the order of a Super Tuscan, which means an international style grape like Cabernet or Merlot is blended with Sangiovese. And the effect of that is to tone down the astringency that sometimes kind of plagues Chianti. And whether or not that kind of blending occurred in this wine, this wine had a really nice, full, round mouthfeel. The nose, as I remember it, was expressive, showed a good amount of red fruit, and even though it was only 4 years old, very approachable. It doesn't feel like it needs any more time in the bottle. It drank really, really well. And for what it's worth, I can't remember a meal where the sparkling wine was older than the red wine that I tried. But again, for what it's worth, it worked out exceptionally well at Carmine's. And I would just say that based on last night's experience, I highly recommend both Carmine's and the wine classes sponsored by Wasatch Academy of Wine. I'll catch up with you later on with thoughts on the other wines that we had, but for now, I'll just say cheers and amen.